save for the future, and perish the present lives. No matter what it is, the future is more important. I don't know what future they talk about, but I think of it as the future for themselves, because they are in a position where they fill their mouth, they are establishing themselves, they are getting themselves well, organized in certain situations, securing their future. When they get into position, they are trying to secure their future, as much as well as they can, as quickly as they can, and take advantage of situation. They secure their future, and their future means their children and all that. So whatever you save now, they have been guaranteed through your effort of putting them there as the leader, and they are assured of living, surviving, and their children are surviving. So whatever savings you put out there, it ends up in their surviving coffers. You will not survive. Eventually you will die and not be able to enjoy your savings, or your chances of survival is very slim. If you will live, you have that much. Those who have much to give a little, they are always secure. They are always saving for the fact that some emergency will come, they can reach out to it. But in your situation, you're also using the same guideline. You're saving for the emergency, but looking at whatever you have in realistic sense, politicians should not even touch certain people with certain incomes. I mean, if you earn in certain level, you shouldn't even be asked anything. But only the successful people should ask to save and do something like that. But anyway, sometimes generally they ask, everybody has to contribute to that, to help, what we call tax, to help the whole nation in every way. But as I said, in certain instances, it is clearly known that if you or me have contributed so much, or I try to contribute a little, or maybe did not contribute, whichever contribution is coming in at this time, if there's moments where it's reasons why it's been put there is not put to use, and it's being kept for whatever reason, to say that, okay, later we will use it, because we have to keep as much as we can and hoard it for the future, because we don't know what will happen. The future is more important than now. Now is important than the future. I mean, if it is what is there now, the survivor of we now guarantee the future. If those here now don't survive, what future is there? It's a blind space. You won't get anywhere. If Noah did not survive, his children will not survive. His descendants will not survive. We will not survive. We would all died. We would not have even been born. If Noah died, we would not have been born. But Noah died when he has survived life to the fullest that he should live. And during that process, he produced. But if Noah wasn't able to survive to any extent of life, I mean, he didn't survive, he was limited. He would have limited this generation in so many ways. Maybe none of the generation would have survived, or somehow be there today. The survivor means surviving and being able to procreate, surviving and being able to establish something that secures the future, but not surviving for what? What is survivor if these things has not been established? You survive for a reason, But whereby the situation comes where the catastrophe or the epidemic or something, or some decisions are taken in certain ways that the life of those who are there now cannot survive, then they cannot have a future. If in this situation, in certain groups, so if I am in that class of group, I will not be having a future. I don't have any strong hope for the future. So whatever contribution I probably may do, in that hardship situation, I have no future. Some people are being cut off. That's what it means. They are being stopped, or their life is being ended slowly and craftily in certain ways that they probably wouldn't know. And others who are sure of the future can always contribute and move on to that future. So it is their future. Those who have it for the future is their future. I mean, if you get what I'm trying to suggest here, this is something I'm pitching in. And sometimes he can grieve, fight, and anger and all that. Right now in the UK, there has been some demonstrations that goes on in that regard. People are very angry and upset. People do that. About 500,000 people are out there and doing all that in a few days or weeks ago. So it's just a suggestion I'm making that leadership has its own ways, but at the end of the day, if we want to talk about God and we talk it in a sense of a human sense or a statue sense, then we are somehow putting God in a vulnerable state. But then again, no problem, because you can't put God in a vulnerable state if really is God. But if it is not God, then that is the situation. Just as a man can be put in a vulnerable state, as I've explained, with the leadership, through the leadership, or the ways of the leadership, or the decision of the leadership, they can be put in a vulnerable state where life can be lost. God cannot say, go out there, save life for me. Go and do that. Whatever you're going to do, I give you nothing, or I gave you that. Go and do this and that to save a life. Or go out there and kill or destroy to preserve this book, either the Quran or the Bible. Why would God have to do that? What really can be the best reason for him to have to request, to make such a request? But honestly, mostly if you would dig out to find out, people will say they had a dream or vision, or they heard something, they heard it alone. Just like I suggested in the book of Acts, Paul saying that some of the people who were there heard it. In another version, he said they saw it. And most of the time, people in that delusional state, they can say anything. And if you look at it, it is not necessarily something that is true. You can tell it is not a truth, and I'm proving that they are words that you have heard or read 2 or 3 occasions from here and there, different books, and it hasn't clicked in your mind that they have been pronounced wrongly or they have been presented wrongly. And these are some of the things, And as we go deeper, I could point to you in certain statements which in the New Testament, which tells you Jesus Christ was sitting on 2 donkeys. For some reason, how he sat on 2 donkeys, I don't know, but that was also there. I will end up suggesting, revealing to you certain things that has been also discovered by others before I tried. That's where I really came across these things. Some of them suggest that God was sleeping. So that somehow people who say Jesus is God, they are being told that God was sleeping. Those who believe that God died. There is others who have presented this debate before in Albert Hall and so many places, and suggesting that how can God die? I mean, if Jesus is God, he shouldn't die. God cannot die. Death is the punishment for what? Human beings, me and you, according to the Bible, is the wages that we have to pay for the wrong we do. So God has not done anything wrong. Why would he die? Why should he die? But even that I'm saying this now, I'm suggesting this now, but they using it they proved it in a different context. They tried to say, I mean, the debate was suggesting to the opponents, I think it was between Muslims and Christians. And the Muslim man was saying that if God the one who hold the whole universe, and if he hold all the universe, if he die, the universe will fall down. The universe will fall out. It's like God is the engine of the world, just like the energy that holds the electricity. If it's been the dam that is the engine that holds the electricity, immediately the dam shuts down, electricity is off. The electricity goes off. So he was analyzing God in that sense. Is the one who holds if his brain shut down, we all just diminish or somehow disappear or lost, or everything will go boom. The computer, the engine, the mind that moves us all intertwined, work together and all that is God who has that. So if God died, then everything will go. That is what he was suggested, which somehow makes sense. But I don't know if that one was necessarily. But I'm pointing it. I'm trying to explain another option that can be considered. You know that